Sea of Stars is a game that's been talked about in the same breath as other great indie titles, like Chained Echoes. But it's recently gotten a bunch of exposure because of what one NPC has done. Sea of Stars was announced on March 19th, 2020 as a project on Kickstarter by Sabotage Studios. The game was then released August 29th, 2023. The game's developer intended to develop a role-playing game that was more ambitious than their previous title, The Messenger. Creative director Terry Bullinger wanted to expand and tell a new story in the same game's world. Wanted to make something in the same breath as Chrono Trigger, Super Mario RPG, and the Paper Mario series.
When I was like 10 or something, I rode my bicycle with my best friend and we went to the rental place. And so I didn't speak a word of English. And so we didn't even try combat. We saw it was talking and we couldn't understand anything, And so he leaves. And I keep playing and the music just took me over, right? The ambience and that, oh my God. The thing I was most excited about was to make an RPG, but we weren't really ready.
Terry was a major factor in this game's storytelling and directing. This is his baby. He was the co-founder of the company, the lead game designer, the director, and main writer. See, while he was working for another company, undisclosed company so far, he wanted to make something more challenging, something that he wanted to make, but he wasn't allowed to. So what did this man do? He created Sabotage Studios, where he and his friends could make the games that they always wanted to make.
So I was a gameplay programmer, and I wanted to be a designer. It was a bit of a struggle there because, the bigger company thing of, well, you're valuable where you are, so let's not take a risk. And I said, well, what about my dream, And I actually pitched Messenger to my employer who said, well, there you have it, you're not a designer, get back to coding. And it was pretty clear that when someone says you can't do something, it just means you can't do it with them, right? And so it was kind of like, we need a business now.
But it wasn't that easy. See, Bullinger founded Sabotage Studios after 10 years of journaling his grief. See, he's diagnosed with atypical brain. So for Terry, there are some things that just don't make sense to him. Things that make sense to us, he just can't wrap his brain around. Now, that's a lot to overcome. But what could make this harder? How about one of his friends being the completionist? A very, very manipulative man who did all he could to be a part of this game.
This game is going to change the world and the landscape of indie games forever. When the Kickstarter came out, without hesitation, I backed the game to the highest tier that I could afford, with the promise of doing all these crazy things that come with the Kickstarter. And that Kickstarter destroyed every goal, with thousands of people ready to enjoy the game. In that time, Terry has personally handcrafted demos for IndieLand, and that's just for me. Doing certain tasks that I had to complete would lead to me raising thousands of dollars for charity, donated by him and his team. And at the least, it put IndieLand on the map. At the last IndieLand, Terry put me in the game as a quest for the demo. A demo designed just for me, and I thought that was so cool to see that, because I was in a game, temporarily at least, in a way that no one else has the pleasure of being involved.
Let's not forget that the completionist also lied to other developers, so he could pose as a developer to make himself seem more important. He has done this to other indie developers in the past.
That found some information about a game that he considered himself a developer on. Somebody who worked directly on this game, that helped the publisher put the game out to make sure it's out there for the masses, and he had a huge impact on putting it out there, when in reality, he was just a QA tester. But because of the charity potential fraud situation that he's dealing with, a lot is coming out showing that his character isn't the most stand-up guy out there.
But with Terry, it seemed to be very special. Terry and him seemed to be very good friends. That's why he even got his NPC placed into the game. Speaking of which, they were a constant at the IndieLand event, even making special demos for him and the event for him and his friends to play through on stage during their live streams. And when the game was released, they added to that game an NPC of Gerard the Constructionist. Since you're watching this, you probably already know that Gerard the Constructionist was removed because Gerard the Completionist was a charity scammer, allegedly, using the Indieland event that was promoting Sea of Stars as a vessel to collect that money. And like I said, they were at almost every event. So whenever you're watching any of Gerard talking about the charity during his streams, guess what you see on the camera? Sea of Stars. That's the reason I played this game, and one of the other reasons why I did my previous video. Now after talking about that mess, I want to talk about the good things that Sea of Stars has to offer. The art and the music. The art is some of the best pixel art I've ever seen in a video game, and I mean that wholeheartedly. The art department made some of the best environments, animations, level designs, and characters that you will ever see in pixel art. That's not a KOF game. But the cutscene art is sometimes Newgrounds flash art levels. Good flash art, but it's still flash art. All the good stuff I would say is thanks to Bruce Coe, the concept artist, and Michael Lavoie, the lead level designer and environmental artist, creating all of the legendary pixel art.
Actually, I work with Thierry and a lot of the founders of the studio at our previous job. I was a 3D artist then, and during the lunchtime, I always did like a lot of pixel art because I was always passionate about pixel art, but my job didn't permit me to do that much of it. So when Thierry saw that I love that, he told me about that project he had. One thing leading to another. When he started the studio, he asked me to join as the first artist for the game. So,
oh, I love this guy. And for the music, they even got guys like Yoshinori Mitsuda, the guy from Chrono Trigger, to make some of the music. It's only 10 tracks, but God is the music in this game so good. There's a point towards the later part of the game where the music just drops. And I was so impressed. As with all the art and the music in this game, it is just peak. It is one of the biggest reasons you should play Sea of Stars, is just to see the art and listen to the music. Sabotage Studios could have just made a standard RPG affair and been done with it. But no, they decided to take Chrono Trigger and Super Mario RPG and mix them together, thus making the combat system for Sea of Stars, which surprisingly mesh very well together. Using the combo techs of Chrono Trigger with the timed abilities and attacks of Super Mario RPG, constantly keeping you in the action and actually making you use tactics and strategy in every battle. See, Sea of Stars has a very low health pool and mana pool, so you always have to watch and make sure you're not overextending yourself in combat. And that comes in as a huge factor in boss battles, which can be incredibly complex and difficult unless you're utilizing the elemental system, which Chrono Trigger was very good at utilizing. Whenever an enemy casts a spell, they have to concentrate on it for a turn or maybe 3, depending on how powerful that spell is going to be. It is now your job to throw everything you can at it to break its concentration. See this bar over its head? This will indicate what element and type of damage you have to do to break its concentration, or it will cast that spell, be it healing, status effect, or damage. And trust me, you need to stop these spells from going off. But that's one of the things that makes Sea of Stars kind of frustrating. See, the lock-breaking mechanic will make or break this game for you. In some ways, it's great and well designed, forcing you to use your spells and combos to break the locks and stop annoying spells and high damaging attacks. Forcing you to decide on using high damage attacks to damage the enemy, or saving them for later to stop them from hurting you. This adds massive layers to the combat system that you wouldn't expect from anything else. But every time you make a mistake, you are massively punished for it. Would you like to waste an entire turn doing damage just so the guy could heal to full almost? Or get one shot? Or take so much damage during that one turn that it takes the next 3 turns just to recover from what you just had to deal with, all because you decided to use your Moonerang at the wrong time. I'm always conflicted when I'm talking about this if I love it or I absolutely hate it. My biggest problem is that it makes you play conservative at times, and I kind of just want to go wild. I feel like it would be better if you had more MP to cast more spells and a little more room to make plays. That should be where the combos come in, since they're a separate meter, but the combos, unlike dual techs, don't use mana. They are built up through the battle. That means in most normal battles, you're probably not even going to use the dual techs or combos in combat. You're only really going to use them in boss fights. And some are not as good as others. Or maybe they are and I just haven't utilized them properly, because I can't really test them out. It'd be nice if the meter stayed full or lasted till the next fight so I could use the combos more frequently, because they're so useful in breaking enemy spells and concentration. And especially the healing ones are some of the best healing spells in the game. While the combos look cool, you never get to really utilize all these tools because of the limited resources. This makes early in maybe the first half of the game a little repetitive, because you're always seeing the same attacks. Each character has 4 skills. Usually an area of effect or movement skill, moving an enemy into a different location so you can do more area of effect skills to hurt them as well. A damage ability, almost always you using Moonerang, and a buff/healing spell. With your ultimate attack, which has its own meter that you have to build up anyways. So you only see that even during boss fights. So most of the time you're just going to see Moonerang, maybe the fire spell. That's usually it. It's the biggest weakness of Sea of Stars' combat, is that really you only use 5 attacks in the whole game, and that's it. They don't level up, they don't get more powerful. They are the same skills throughout the entire campaign. And after 30 hours, you're going to see Moonerang a lot. That's kind of made even worse, because the combat, I wouldn't say is easy, but is very, very forgiving. You don't need to resurrect somebody when they die. You can, but you don't need to. You just have to wait a few turns before they get back up. So usually, you just bring in the big tank boy that you built up, have him keep healing until everybody else gets back up, and then switch him out for somebody else to do damage. Good thing that's not all the gameplay in the game. There's a lot of amazing puzzles and platforming to do in this game. Implementing the amazing art directly into the game. Honestly, the puzzles and platforming remind me heavily of Wild Arms and Golden Sun. While sometimes confusing, it uses every tool at your disposal, like magic and tools to solve every puzzle, using a grappling hook to traverse the area. It uses very simple puzzles in intricate and interesting ways. I mean, you're able to control the sun in the sky, and there's always the side games that a lot of RPGs put in their games, like fishing and whatever this is. The main characters are Valere and Zale, the Solstice Warriors, adventurers who have control over eclipse magic. One controlling the powers of the sun, and the other controlling the powers of the moon. This is the only power that can attack, hurt, kill dwellers, otherworldly monsters created by the godlike alchemist, the Fleshmancer. The story is interesting, cool, and very much helped by the amazing art. The world of Sea of Stars is so well thought out and planned. All the art, the directing, everything just meshes well together. I really like the world of Sea of Stars. It's well planned out and well thought out. Like, you go to a city that doesn't have the sun. One of the dwellers is hiding on this island and has permanently removed the ability for them to see the sun, meaning he can't be damaged by the eclipse magic. But everyone who goes to this island is now trapped there in a world that is permanently dark. So when you go there, everyone's depressed and trying to deal with it in their own ways. Interesting concept, well thought out. The biggest problem, though, is that Sea of Stars dialogue is very Marvel-esque, especially early on. It really wants to be funny. And while sometimes, even half of the time, it is very funny, there are other times its quicksand effect pulls everything down to the ground and smothers it alive. It can kill very emotional and very important scenes at times, and that's not good. On top of the fact that the Solstice Warriors, while they are speaking protagonists, in some cases have less personality than speechless protagonists like Chrono and Mario. So when our heroes meet an ancient god that's forced to repeatedly give birth to its children so it could feed a dweller that's hiding inside of a cave that feeds off of their despair and death, our heroes don't exactly play off of it well. So this very dark scene, that's fucking metal by the way, doesn't hit as hard as honestly you'd think it should. It's because their only real characteristic is that they hunt down dwellers and are best friends with Garl, the warrior cook. The side characters are some of the best characters in the game. Garl, the warrior cook, is really one of my favorite characters in the entire game. Hands down. He's basically the main character for most of the game. Until you meet the second best character, Roshan, the alchemist. The side characters are so well implemented that you start to forget that the Solstice Warriors are the main characters, because they have so much backstory that keeps popping up, and you always want to learn more about them. Honestly, the biggest problem with Sea of Stars story-wise is that a lot of the dark and fucked up moments that happen don't really land sometimes because the dialogue and some of the characters dealing with it, it doesn't resonate or land. But by the end of it, I have these constant mixed feelings when talking about this game because there's so much really good stuff. But then there's this mixed bag of stuff that I kind of want to complain about, even if I still like it. It's this, I don't know how to describe it, even though I'm trying to, and that's my job. Ah, shit, am I bad at this? Ultimately, I like this game, and I like the story. It made me feel things. It made me care at times. But other times, I'd be kind of embarrassed by the story and some of the jokes that they were saying. It's one of those things that makes me think Terry probably should have got someone to write the dialogue for him, even if he wrote a good story. Because the story ultimately is very good, just with problems. Now, while I've been complaining about Sea of Stars, I do like it. I do hope for its future success. I do hope for a sequel. That's because Terry, in the long run, seems to be a very good guy who's doing this for all the right reasons and has put everything, and I mean everything, on the line to create what he wanted to create in The Messenger and Sea of Stars. Sea of Stars felt amazing for Bullinger. From The Messenger's tale of looking back into Bullinger's grief, Sea of Stars was deliberately designed around looking forward to the future, with hope. It's a continuation of the Tupperware metaphor at heart. Sea of Stars is about choosing to continue and clean instead of destroying. It has more to do with creating something and protecting something that's more worthwhile protecting, rather than being the single ray of light in a cursed world. The thing that is there consistently throughout is that no matter how daunting or gruesome the thing is in front of you, if you apply yourself, if you do everything you can, if you rely on friendship, Bullinger says, you can make it through. I think about stories that are good and that still speak to us for a reason, and they acknowledge that being greater than the sum of our parts is a great message to tell, and he lives this because of how much work he's put into his studio, and I hope for nothing but the best for this man.